and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Yesterday, there was a debate between Nick, also going by the name SocialistMMA. He's part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. And he actually had a fairly reasonable debate with an individual that we all know, Destiny. And I think it's, well, look, I don't want to talk over anything that Nick was bringing up in the debate, but this is like a video highlight that Rome was able to capture and share on social media. So you could find these links in the social media, all these links to social media in our description box in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. Faze, if we can, let's play this video in its entirety.
Because if it went for Joe Manchin, then they would have to oppose the bill. Because if they know the bill is going to stop anyway, it doesn't make any sense for them to put their name out on the line. You see how much...
Yeah, of course, but like the reason why they have to oppose the bill is because their constituents don't want it, right? Like at the end of the day, like these senators... You don't...
So that's something we had to disagree with, because I don't think it works that way. Obviously, they get money from donors, and they are class loyal.
Yeah, but who are the donors, right? Trump and Bernie Sanders raised the majority of their money off of small donors, right? Both of these guys did.
If you look at Manchin, a lot of his friends, a lot of his connections work in the coal industry. I don't know his whole biography, but his daughter invested in the coal mines. Like, there's a class interest, and this is something that Marxism teaches you. Like, if you're a capitalist, you have no idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. But when you're Marxist, everything makes sense. Joe Manchin is class loyal. He's here to halt all progress by the workers, and he has a media arm that will help sell that message to him to keep him electable. And if Joe Manchin loses, they will just find another person who is class loyal, because in order to be a senator, for the very most part, you have to be rich in order to run a statewide campaign.
So
and
then let's say that I grant all of this. Let's say I believe all of this. And so backing off then. So then what is the solution then? Because it sounds like you're saying that like whoever you vote out, like everything will be messed up. Like the corporate donors choose everybody anyway. Like what is the solution then? So what I say, we need to start doing community organizing. We need to start engaging in mutual aid. Now, this is not a sexy answer, because I believe the United States is a violent fascist country, and the police is continuing to kill more of us, and they are waging class war on behalf of the ruling class. The only thing we can do is get together and organize community protection. Make sure we take care of ourselves while we fight the struggle, while we get people more class conscious, and then we can literally start shutting stuff down. That's why we did a general strike summit. Well, I was advocating for a general strike. And is that possible? There are people who argue like, oh, that's not possible. I'm like, well, that's our only chance, because capital will only concede through intense struggle. And if they see their society start to collapse, if people start getting frustrated, because you only really need about 3 to 5% of the population to be on board. And then you start shutting shit down, you start getting people on board. And then people are like, man, things are falling apart because all these workers are striking. You got businesses that are closing down. And then you will try and peel people to your side as they see society start to crumble, because they're like, well, these people, their asks are not that unreasonable. Like, you got these people that asking for healthcare. You got these people asking for increased minimum wage. Is it really worth destabilizing our country for this? And my hypothesis, now this is completely theoretical, I think they will allow the country to crumble before they give up any power. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens when a country crumbles? You got even more people who are more radicalized. Got more people that are more militant. Now, there are people that may be less doomer than me, people who may believe the establishment may concede power. But as we continue to be more militant, more organized as a working class coalition, because there are more of us than them, we can extract concessions until we are ready for the violent revolution. But like here, so like this is my issue when we talk about.
So I think it's very important what Nick is bringing up. What have we accomplished by working with the two-party system, especially with the Democratic Party? Now, I know there's a lot of people, especially who have larger platforms, who say we got to vote blue no matter who, that we got to support the Democrats. By giving up our vote, by giving our silent, obedient consent to the Democratic Party, we gave them the okay that it was acceptable to commit election fraud, especially during the 2016 primary and in the 2020 primary. But we've seen it even happen before those two election cycles. We've been seeing it, this screw over, happen over and over again with the Democrats. They play a good game of lying to voters, lying to their base. There was at one point where the Democratic Party was a workers' party. They did care about the issues. But as soon as the floodgates of big money opened up, Democratic Party, just like the Republican Party, ate that crap up. Now, who are the number one constituents for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party? It's not the American voter. The American voter is just there for show, add legitimacy to this neoliberal nightmare that we're in. In all reality, number one constituents are banks, corporations, Wall Street executives, hedge fund managers, the top 1%, lobby groups. And let's look at who the Democratic Party and Republican Party really are. If we have to describe them, they're two parents, two abusive parents that have been abusing the American people. You have the Republican Party, that's a drunk alcoholic father that punches you, and then you have the Democratic Party, which is the pill-popping mom that abuses you mentally. You don't owe these two parties anything. And by siding with one and assuming that one party will fight for you, it is a lie. How do things get done? It's when the people lead. In American history, the politicians never took the initiative. The politicians were never the ones to be the first in line. It's the American people, average citizens, who step up. I want to play a few more minutes of that debate. We can't play all of it in its entirety, but I urge all of you to watch it, especially on Nick's YouTube channel as well. This is just a small clip. It's just like 10 minutes, but we're going to play a few more minutes of it as well. But it's very important that we hear these words about why we need to have class solidarity, why we need to do mutual aid, why we need to do a general strike, why we need to build movements and organizations and work co-ops that are not attached to Washington, D.C. It's important for this movement to be led by the people. Let's play it.
For this, well, what concessions can the far left get right now? I don't think they can get any because they're just not that popular.
We can strive to increase the quality of life for everyday people and prevent the violence that Black, brown, and colonized people are struggling under right now. So even though we are not going to get Medicare for all, the least we can do is demand the end to ICE detention. The least we can do is demand the end of massive police funding that is not justified. The least we can do is end the new Jim Crow. The least we can do is support BDS in order to stand in solidarity with our Palestinian brothers and sisters, right? So at this point, as it is right now, the best the left can do, because this is what the left originated as. Like, there are a lot of white people who took this over, but the left is a movement that is meant to liberate colonized people and promote the prosperity of workers. Now, this state is so violent, this state is so unhinged that we must engage in protection of our people. Now, I know this may sound boring to anyone who is like upper class and bourgeoisie, but this system represents you. Like, you're not, like, police is not over policing your community. It's not your community that will have their water poisoned because of companies allowed to poison the water supply. The military poisoned the Black community. The Navy poisoned indigenous Hawaiian water supplies. So I know I'm going a little long-winded here, but to answer your question, I think the number one goal of left right now is to secure liberation for the people by all means necessary. Then once we get there, then we can.
Now, look, we could, again, I want to urge everyone to watch all of that video in its full entirety. But yeah, let's really talk about liberation. Let's talk about the fact that in America right now, so many communities are struggling with environmental racism. So many communities are being gentrified. People are actually being evicted from their homes and apartments. We're seeing small businesses being shut down. And what is the Democratic Party doing to help out working class citizens? Now, the propaganda that you see on Fox News or corporate media is that somehow Joe Biden is to the left or socialists are running everything. That's not the truth at all. Basically, Joe Biden is following the neoliberal blueprint that is corporate through and through. Now, the Democrats could, in theory, do things to help them boost their popularity. But as we covered in a previous segment and in other shows as well, and as all of you seen in other independent media networks, things are getting bad for working class Americans throughout this country. It could be better, but there's no real plan. There's no real movement. The fact that we have lackluster politicians right now running this entire show says a lot. So with that being said, I think it's very important that if we are going to actually really build up a real political movement, it's time for the American people to actually build something that's not attached to Washington, D.C. That's why we have to push forward, have an initiative, to fight back. If we can, Faze, can we just play just one more minute of that video? Can.
really start getting gains. We're just so behind, and there's so people don't even understand the problem that we have right now. We are extremely behind. We can't even think about getting concessions until we start fighting for liberation. And having Jim Crow Joe, having Joe Biden, the person who built this insanely racist, broken system, like the fact that that goes back to my original criticism. The fact that we will even back that guy shows how far behind we are. So you are right on that. We got a lot of work to do, but we're not going to get there by pretending the United States is on our side. Like saying, oh, the United States is not a fascist country. The United States is actually a good. That's not going to help our fight for liberation.
All right. Well,
All right,
yeah, I guess
stop
it is.
here.
I feel like this.
Well, the final note for this, I thought that entire debate was very well done, especially on Nick's part. He really represented Revolutionary Blackout Network extremely well, and I was really impressed with the work that he was doing. I urge everyone to check out and subscribe to his channel. We also got something here on Rockfin here real quick. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that one. Roger Meadows tipped $2. Sorry, Kit. I don't have too much. I don't have much on Bowman ever since the feds convinced me they're not going to do a goddamn thing. My focus is on New York State. What these federal Democrats say goes in one ear and out the other. The only thing I could say to Bowman is tweaking around the edges. Tweaking around the edges is what the establishment Democrats brag about. You were supposed to go into and do transformative change. New York State is still number one in income inequality. Why are you not a co-sponsor of the National Infrastructure Bank? That guy Nick was debating. That was debating thinks that their constituents love getting screwed by Wall Street corporate polluters, their boss deregulation oligopolies, going to war, corrupt politicians being on the take with big money. I will tell you like this: the ultimate poll that tells what voters want is that ballot initiative. That's it. Look at the progressive ballot initiatives passed in states like Missouri and Florida, despite electing the GOP. Well said right there.